Right, yeah.
Oh. Two taps were now heard on the outside of the window. Mr. Inspector, hastily fortifying himself with another glass, strolled out with a noiseless foot and an unoccupied countenance, as one might go to survey the weather and the general aspect of the heavenly bodies. "This is becoming grim, Mortimer," said Eugene in a low voice. "I don't like this." "Nor I," said Lightwood. "Shall we go?" "Being here, let us stay. You ought to see it out. It won't leave you. Besides, that lonely girl with the dark hair runs in my head. It was little more than a glimpse we had of her last time, and yet I almost see her waiting by the fire tonight. Do you feel like a dark combination of traitor and pickpocket when you think of that girl?" Okay. "Rather I," returned Lightwood. "Rather I," returned Lightwood. "Do you?" "Very much so." Their escort strolled back again and reported. Dives stared out of its various limelights and shadows. His report went to the effect that Gaffer was away in his boat, supposed to be on his old lookout, that he had been expected last high water, that having missed it, for some reason or other, he was not, according to his usual habits at night, to be counted on before next high water, or it might be an hour or so later, that his daughter surveyed through the window would seem to be expecting him, for the supper was not cooking, but set out ready to be cooked, and at it would be high water at about 1, and that is what was now barely 10, that there was nothing to be done but watch and wait, that the informer was keeping watch at the instant of the present reporting, but that 2 heads were better than 1, especially when the second was Mr. Inspector's, and that the reporter meant to share the watch. And for as much as crouching under the lee of a hauled-up boat on a night when it blew cold and strong, and when the weather was varied with blasts of hail at times, might be wearisome to amateurs, the reporter closed with the recommendation that the 2 gentlemen should remain, for a while at any rate, in their present quarters, which were rather tight and warm. They were not inclined to dispute this recommendation, but they wanted to know where they could join the watchers when so disposed, rather than trust to a verbal description of the place, which might mislead Eugene, with a less weighty sense of personal trouble on him than he usually had. Would go out with Mr. Inspector, note the spot, and come back. On the shelving bank of the river, among the slimy stones of a causeway, not the special causeway of the 6 Jolly Fellowships, which had a landing place of its own, but a little removed and very near to the old windmill, which was the denounced man's dwelling place, were a few boats, some moored and already beginning to float, others hauled up above the reach of the tide.